Today I'm sitting with Chief Kokoi, who is a former Toshao of Aishalton and who was the chief of the Region 9 Toshaos Council, which was a council made up of all the villages in Guyana's Region 9 up until the point that that organization was defunct. So to begin with, Chief Kokoi, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me.
Thank you so much for inviting me too.
So I want to ask, first of all, what was the Region 9 Toshaos Council and why does it no longer exist?
Okay, so I was involved with indigenous rights, defense of indigenous land rights and whatnot. And I attended a meeting in Brazil, which was comprised of Guyana and Venezuela at the time. And I heard about the impacts of mining and other related land issues over there. And it was amazing. And I knew that it was going to come to our community, to our country. And then we decided to form ourselves into a group of Toshaos, which comprised of approximately 53 village councils, or 53 Toshaos. We first had a previous chief before me, and then I became chief after. So we used to meet during the summer holidays, like September, during this Heritage Celebration month, and not only showcase our culture, our dances, our songs and whatnot, our craft, whatever, but we also had interaction with organizations, agencies, because during those times a lot of pressure was on indigenous communities to establish protected areas. You had the influx of extractive interests wanting to come into our community. So there's a lot of pressure during those times. So we became a kind of a force to reckon with. We were becoming very strong, and then of course, like anywhere else, politics came into play. And that is what has happened. And politics continue to play a major part in a lot of our indigenous institutions, which everyone knows must be free of political interference. That is our institution. We have a right to that institution, to those institutions that we have. But it is being eroded. So politics got involved and brought down the Region 9 Toshaos Council to where it is today. And from that day on, everybody called me chief. I was the chief of that until, well, I'm the chief of a defunct organization. But it is still around, but now we have a smaller version in the name of the South Rupununi District Toshaos Council, which is here in the south where I live. So that is actually what the Region 9 Toshaos Council is all about. And at our meetings, we discussed, like with Conservation International, we had discussions with them. We invited other government officials to come into our celebrations. Not like that was imposed. We invited who we wanted to invite. And I think it was successful in terms of like we understood, because we invited you for this, not for no other reason, you know. And it was a very good organization, but then, like I said, it started to fall. So now you have Regional Toshaos Conference. But that is a government-run program. So you don't have like the kind of representation that people, maybe, but the Toshaos are afraid to stand up. Because right now, with the political atmosphere in Guyana is that if you oppose, you're being attacked from the president right down. You're being attacked. Anybody trying to air their problems or their concerns about something is attacked. We are seeing that on a daily basis in the social media and the daily newspapers. Yeah.
So a couple of questions in response to what you just said. First of all, so the government, the government kind of started the new Toshaos conference as sort of a replacement for the Region 9 Toshaos Council, but that new organization doesn't really have any teeth like the old council did, and so now like the SRDC is kind of picked up the baton to put more pressure on the government?
I don't think that council, the conference itself, like I said, it's a government controlled. So they call the shots, they tell you when to come, and you call it, it's supposed to look like a Toshaos meeting indeed. But the outcome or whatever is being represented at that level is like, I don't think it is working. Or it is not working then, let me be blunt.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you also said that sort of politics was behind the demise of the Region 9 Toshaos Council. Without naming specific names, can you kind of say what happened?
Like I said, we were becoming a force to reckon with because the Toshaos were beginning to come together, and we were talking a lot about our land rights, and we were beginning to still understand the law that pertains to indigenous people, and what protections you can get from international law as well that Guyana would have been, who would have ratified or whatever. Yeah. So we begin to learn that, and that is how we became stronger. And everybody, well, the main issue in whole Guyana is land. We have not been given our lands. That was not our decision. We, as the South Rupununi District Council, identified a territory, not a village. But politicians break it up into villages.
Oh, wow.
So, and that territory is the same territory that we are still fighting for unto today. There's no other territory we want. We want our territory because that was identified by our ancestors to the Lands Commission that visited here before Guyana became independent. That is the territory they identified. And mind you, these guys, our ancestors, Toshaos, they never went to school and they did not know to read and write.
Wow.
But they were able to identify out of their head the map or the territory itself.
Wow.
For the simple reason it is our territory. We know our boundaries, we know the rivers, we know the mountains, we know the creeks, we have names, we have stories, we have everything about all this territory.
Of course, yeah.
And that is what we are fighting for. And all now we came, because over here you have the Wapichan people with one Makushi village. On the other side you have the Makushis, on the other side of the mountain. The protected area divide us.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So we all came together now as brothers and started to talk about these things and see how we could, what measures can we use to have our lands recognized as you can see in the, in the 1969 Amerindian Lands Commission report. We have copies of the document. So we have, it's not like we just suddenly get up one morning and say, oh, from here to there to there. This is what our ancestors did.
Yeah.
We even found when we did mapping, we even found that our ancestors went farther beyond than the point that we know as our territory up to today.
Wow.
But that's okay because it's not very, it's around that same area, but that is within now the YY territory. You understand? So, and that is all what we became, upbeat about. Let's work together, let's fight and whatnot, and let's get the recognition of your territory, our territory. Okay? And we started, Toshaos began to get strong. And then, of course, if you start to oppose, the politicians will react. And then some of us we were outspoken in terms of politics. Of course, within our midst, you had those who were involved with politics as well, which is not good for a leader to be, like right now for me, as an indigenous person, we shouldn't even be involved in politics. I'm not saying as an individual you can, but as a Toshao, no. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because you are for the people, not for a specific part of a society. So that is how we began to think and whatnot, and so it became a nuisance maybe. It became annoying maybe. So the authorities became worried. And that is how, they use their their political influence and starting to infiltrate the communities. And that is up to into the village level now you have a political interference when we have elections to elect our own chief in our own village.
Wow.
So these are some of the main reasons we became together, and it was not good for the government, so they fought it down. And eventually, of course, the law, which we hope that we'll be able to get our recommendations revised. Put into a revised version of the law that pertains to us, because in our culture, our leader don't have time limit. He is there until we, the people, realize, oh, he's very old now, he can lead. All right, you. Not like 2 years after, you got to do this and do that. No, that's not our culture. But that is what is being eroded. That is what is being washed away. And that is not only, that is very important. But a lot of these things like that pertains to our culture is being overridden by different things. We are putting our culture aside and going behind the bright light, like the beetles behind the light.
Flying
like
after
they're
the
flying,
light.
yeah, the insects flying after the light, which is very dangerous. And I think, like nothing, we have seen. There are other experiences in other regions in Guyana, where our brothers and sisters carried the government to court, and there were decisions made, and but yet you don't have the kind of results that you would like to have.
And that's in Guyanese courts.
Yeah, in Guyanese courts. Yeah. So because of that, I think with all that, we stand up. So you're suddenly seen as opposition, by you're suddenly opposition. So, oh yes, well, we wouldn't give you the grant this year then. That kind of victimization because of your stand for your own right.
And they see you as getting in the way, interfering.
Yep, very much, yeah. I was one like that. I was seen like that. I was the main man like that. I was in the black box. Well, yeah, I was in the black box of the government then. Because I was outspoken and, it's not for myself as an individual. It is for my people. What is due to us, let us have it.
Right. And honestly, what would somebody expect of a leader if not to advocate for the people who they're representing, right?
So, I've been involved since 1994 in this what I'm involved in. Indigenous rights, land rights, and whatnot, defense of territories and whatnot. And I haven't switched to anywhere else. I don't want any other kind of work. If I'm offered a job and if I'm to accept it, it must have to do with the communities, the people, the forests, and everything else. Once you have that component as part of the job description or whatever, I will go and work. Yes, I will. Nothing else, because for me, everything is just contributing to this big bubble. Everything is contributing to this big bubble. And then one day it's going to make a pin is going to bore the bubble. Right. That is how I describe this whole thing as a bubble. I don't care how much money we have. I don't care how much technology we have. I don't care whatever we have the most or whatever. For me, the bottom line is that is man-made.
It's still very fragile.
And man makes mistake.
Yeah.
That's my bottom line for everything. I don't care how much you tell me or whatever. That's I believe that. And with the kind of work that I have been doing, I actually have other darker not secrets, but other darker experiences by having to stand up and speak on behalf of indigenous peoples, not only in my village here, but throughout my region and throughout my country as well. I've been an advocate. I've been advocating for a number of years, 1994, now I still do that. I've never turned back. I don't have no intention of turning back, because I think this is a fight that I can play a part in. I'm like, what's the guy name from the Philippines? Pacquiao. I love that. Yeah. Little Pacquiao with his whatever, but he's knocking down a lot of people and beating up a lot of people. I feel like I'm like a little Pacquiao.
Wow.
To speak, to go and talk. I was asked by Al Jazeera 2 or 3 years ago in Scotland about the 1 point something billion US dollars which was supposed to be earmarked for indigenous peoples in this whole climate fiasco that they have and globally. What I think about that. I told them that I think you're digging a hole to fill a hole. Because you were talking about this since 1992 to now. What have you seen? You have so much middlemen in between. By the time you reach to the community, what do we get? I don't believe. I'm not happy about that. That's what I said. And I'm honest about what I'm saying because we are experiencing it now. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of these things that are happening with our plants and the forest is confused. The plants are confused. The flowering comes at a different time, which means there is confusion in the environment. Why is it happening? So people don't know that, by looking at nature, you would know. I would know that because that is what not me alone, but most of us here know. We have been seeing that happen. We have seen other signs of difference. Maybe, mating season or
Yeah, mating season.
Yeah, the mating season on the whole, and even the fishes as well.
Yeah, with the spawning.
Yeah. All of those we have noticed. So the kind of work that we do in all of these things here, I'm not sure if, if I was a government, I would welcome those because I know it would give me a better stand maybe to do or to make some high representation at these big meetings they normally go to. But here is, you have a situation here. And you are going in like, I know everything, man. You don't know about the forest. We live here, man. We live here. We are part of the forest. And don't tell us you don't know about forest. Why are you coming to do research in my forest?
I mean, I'm coming to learn
yeah. So that is, all this work that we do. I'm very keen about, and I'm happy to see, and then at the same time experience the darkness of politics, the ugly politics, and then the experiences to have to listen to crap from supposedly intelligent people. And all of these things. But then at the same time, when these things are happening, you think about the people down there. Because up to now, I still visit my people. Especially the elders, I do visit them. I go and look at them and talk with them. I see them so that I know what is going on. I know when we are going to lose or about to lose one of them, We have lost one of the best elder during the pandemic.
Oh.
And he was the last with so much of knowledge. He's actually on the cover of our management plan, the SRDC management plan with the old guy.
He's holding a cane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Uncle Simon. Uncle Simon gave me my name, Kokoi.
Wow.
Yeah, he gave a set of us some names. I didn't just choose that name by myself. He chose those names for us.
Wow. And what's the Wapichan meaning?
That's the harpy eagle, the largest eagle in the South America area. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he named others. We were in a culture group and performing and dancing because I like dancing in my culture and whatnot. So I was very active, and we were performing a traditional dance one evening, about time like now. And he was there laughing, and he started to reminisce as well, like in his younger days maybe. And then he said, I went to him, I sat with him, and I said, how do you feel? All right? And he said, yeah. He said, after this, I want all of you to come. I will give you all a name. So in front of the crowd, he named us Kokoi, this, that. I'm not sure what the others name. I can't remember. I should actually get those people together back and let's see. We are older, far older now,
Yeah.
So It would be nice to see if we can get together, because I was actually advocating for the some of the traditional dances that are still there to be brought back on. Because most of these traditional dances that we are doing is on the, what you call it, the keyboard, with the something accompanying it with a beat.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that is that's, it kind of saddens me but angers me at the same time. You know, we don't want what you need that for. You need the drums, man. Your outfit, yes,
Right.
good. You already have that.
But then you need the
You
drum.
need the drums. You need our singing. You don't want the Brazilian tempo of carnival or whatever.
Right, right. That's crazy. So, getting back to talking about land defense and land protection, water protection, in the, let's call it the post Region 9 Toshaos Council world, where does the fight for land defense stand now?
Well, there has been, what you call it, there has been projects that came out from the government to deal with land issues. And one of them is the land extension. Because remember, within the Wapichan territory, we didn't get a territory as a whole. We were given pieces. So we know our territory. So we have small titles given to us, but you still have the lands that the ancestors identified to the Lands Commission, which is still our lands according to law. According to the international law that Guyana said, yes, we agree with you. So now villages have been asked to submit extensions. So what we did here in the South Rupununi, our extension went right out to the boundary of the very territory which was identified by our ancestors, without any space in between. So those are our extensions. We can live with a line, but we will always have that, what you call it, inter-community agreements, resource use, because we will be, you know, on both sides. You know, we must understand that because it's going from one level to another level now. It's not like long ago anymore. So you have all of those things to think about. So that is what we did here. In other communities, I'm not sure, in other district, I mean in other regions, but that is what we did here, especially in the south. So now you have other, and then we formed the district council as well. The district Toshaos Council, it was formed. But little did we know that this district council, it was already there without a name, because my uncle, Henry Winter, who was the old Toshao for here, he was the one who used to go to the other villages, bring the Toshaos together and talk about land. There is no record, but we only hear about stories about them.
Wow.
Yeah. So that SRDC, that's where the SRDC was born from. It's just that it's the same vision that we have.
Wow.
But with much more, whatever, conserved areas and headwater protection and all of these things now we have inside there. But then the whole thing is that, you know, we're not doing this only for ourselves. We are doing this for our country and for the world. For me, us given the chance to do what we think is best, of course, we're open to your suggestions as well. And together we can go forward. You know, but we are in control of what is going on here. We must be in control of what is going on here.
And like you said, I mean, you guys know this land like nobody else. If the flowers on some plants come early or come late, like you're the ones who are going to notice that, right?
Yeah. So, you know, like, so that, like I'm saying, I'm not sure but then you have other areas now that have carried government to courts over their lands as well, in Sinaru and those others, you know, and there have been a ruling about Aboriginal rights mentioned in one of the rulings, which is wow. which is big
Yeah.
for us.
Because then you can
And
use that decision.
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
piggyback
yeah,
on it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We can.
Wow.
So those are like more or less like maybe. It's not maybe. We will have to end up like that because there is no political will in either. There are only two parties in Guyana. There's no political will on any one of their part that they want to resolve this land issue once and for all. Because now we would be like for me, it's greed all the time. Because there's a lot of money, dollar signs seen over all this forest that we have.
all
down
the
here.
mining and oil
Exactly,
and
yeah,
stuff they
yeah,
want to do,
yeah.
right?
Leave it.
Yeah, leave it.
It will help us. It will help your children. Leave it as it is. Because where else are we going to go from here? You know? Where else are we going to go from here? We have nowhere to go. On top of that, we recently had the madman from Venezuela, Maduro, threatening us and frightening us. Where do we run to? So it is important for us, out here. I'm hoping too that, now we are the only recognized district council here in Guyana, South Rupununi District Council. But out of our, our experience and our willingness to, to get up and get for ourselves, other districts have followed suit. So you have now I think it's 4 or 5 other district councils now waiting to register or to use the legislation that pertains to that so that they can go ahead and form themselves into district councils. Now that is worrisome for the government.
Right.
We get into, you have a district council here. You're talking to maybe one of Ukraine's missile that you're sending across to Russia, because it will be a power to deal with.
When you have multiple.
You are like this.
Right, different.
You are
fingers
this,
of both
yeah.
hands. Yeah.
And because remember, indigenous peoples in Guyana are the swing vote.
Oh, wow.
So if we come together like this, we can move.
Wow.
We can move stones.
Wow.
Well, you see, that is why the politicians are getting so involved in our elections, because
they recognize
power
there.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So has the South Rupununi District Council started any kind of, if not fully cooperating with other district councils, at least having contact and?
Yeah, of course. We have extended our expertise to region 7. We have sent other representatives to like Suriname and other places to
Oh, wow.
to share our experiences with them.
Wow.
Venezuela, I think. Faye went to Venezuela. They did fire management, because we have a lot of studies that we're doing, and we have certain people following it. So we have been making contact with them, and then they would ask, or they would send representatives to come when we have our statutory get together. They would come to see what it looks like and how discussions go. And recently we had 2 young people from Region 7 to come to see and observe, and So that part now is this is the only part in Guyana that takes place, that these things happen. There's no other way that it happened. Any other get-together of Toshaos like that would be politically funded.
Which basically means that it's already been captured by the politicians, right?
Exactly. It's not your meeting anymore. Yeah.
And can I ask, when you talk about indigenous people in Guyana being the swing vote, do you intend to kind of get people to engage in electoral politics in a certain way?
We had somebody some time back, but then I don't understand. Well, I understand that the political games are a very nasty game. I know that. But the implications of this and that and whatnot, I'm not sure. So We had somebody who was like, an indigenous person that we knew. But for some reason, our people were always bought off.
Mm-hmm.
We were always voting for the, the present government.
Right.
And then because of race and a lot of things that was implanted in our people, they're basing their choice on political, racial lines.
Oh, okay.
Not the competence or whatever. That I know I can say, safely say. Yeah, and that have an impact on us as well,
Yeah. Yeah. If you just vote on somebody based on their racial identity instead of what they have the capacity to do or don't have the capacity to do, I mean, you get into trouble for sure.
Yeah.
And I want to talk specifically about the issue of water, because water is tied to land, and yet, pollution of water can have so many negative impacts on people who rely on those water bodies. So how has your work, either with the Region 9 Toshaos Council or the subsequent work of the SRDC, really started to touch on water protection?
Actually, we are the ones down here who are first talking about the protection of water, the importance of water and whatnot, simply because of several things. The mining in Marudi is one, which is actually toward the headwaters of all the creeks that give fresh water in Guyana. That is where all it comes from, into Essequibo especially. So you have Marudi. But along the line you have as well, because from Marudi, it goes right into Essequibo, right out into the Atlantic Ocean. I gave the previous government president a map of how the contamination from Marudi went in and right out into the Atlantic Ocean. I said, this is for you to understand. So we started to talk about that, because there were a lot of things. Sometimes fishes out here would come out sometimes with sores on their skin.
Wow.
But nobody knows is what. And then it's high water. And then eventually, slowly, we as we became organized, we started to do water tests. Well, we have monitors being trained to test water, its turbidity, I don't know what else and what else. And they too are the ones that go in there into the mining areas to see. They can measure water as well, So we know that water is contaminated. We know there is a lot of quicksilver all over Marudi. That's from years and years and years and years ago. And so then we did a recent test we did at what the place name in Parabar, Aishalton, Parabar, Shulinab, and Crowdar for mercury. Parabara, the little community with mixed Waiwai and Wapichan, their women surpass the safety levels of the WHO mercury level measurements or whatever you call that. So there's high level of mercury down there. And you continue to open the mining down there into all these fresh waters. You're talking about people's life here. You're only talking about some people down there. So we started to do that. And then, of course, we have a mapping unit. And our mapping unit would have, I'm not sure what kind of data they would upload from somewhere to somewhere through the, satellite or whatever. They're able to look at our areas as well. Because we have trained, what you call these guys who does all of those?
The monitors?
Those. So we have a lot of idea, and then our monitors as well physically go to these areas. They do trips into these areas. When they come back and tell you, it is not like the satellite telling you that. Is we went there and we saw that, like, you understand? And it is very important because now we are having a difference of weather, not only this year here, but it has been propping up. It has been showing that there have been signs that something is going on with the weather, not only the sun and the rain, but something was going on. And then, of course, we had this big tremor down in Katunarib, where it was said that was an earthquake or whatever the case may be. And it still continues to rumble up to today, I was told. Really? Yeah, very recently, yeah. But maybe on a smaller scale now. Not as, we felt it right here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, my house, our house, that one where Darty is in. It actually, we started shaking. I was outside.
Oh, wow.
And I was calling for the little girls who were down there to come out of this building here because I said, it's going to fall down. So it was like a sound coming like that from this direction.
Wow.
So we came out. I had my son's kid was here, I think, and Ron. We came out to see, what is that? What is that? And then
oh, man.
So all of that now, you know, these are signs that something is happening.
Because this isn't an area where you get that kind of seismic activity.
Period, yeah.
Wow.
So all these concerns about the fish, the quality of fish, and you know the season and everything is changing. So people are worried now. Right now, people are worried. I heard them today at the meeting. People are worried about water. Where are we going to get water from? Because the water levels start to drop. Some people don't have water in their wells anymore. Some people are depending now on the pipes that were laid for water.
The government bringing water in.
The government drill wells around, but it is not providing water. That is how we are bought. It works first, but it's not the thing that's gonna work like
forever.
Yeah, I mean, at least give you service.
Right.
You know, and you're made to believe that this is your solution here now. Yeah, water pipes into your kitchen. Please vote.
Right.
You go and you vote. Now you don't have water. I'm lucky. I have 2 wells down here. I'm using my son's well. My big well might be drying up as well, I think, by now. It's going to drop more.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to affect us down here.
Because you've been getting kind of drought conditions too.
Yeah. Drought conditions, more heat. I've never experienced heat like just this last year heat.
Really?
Yeah, towards the year end, yeah.
Wow.
I've never seen heat like that in all my life. Yeah.
Well, Chief Kokoi, I really, really appreciate you taking the time to share all of this insight and knowledge with me and then with everybody else who's watching this too.
Yeah, okay.